go ahead. I think we're ready. So it is 9 o'clock Mountain Time, 11 o'clock Eastern Time. We've got a wonderful group of people on today, so thank you all for joining. One last announcement before we kick it off here for those of you who are just joining. All lines are muted on entry. You can unmute your line if you want to ask a question when we have any open Q&A throughout the event. Otherwise, use the chat. I will be monitoring that the whole time. And as I just mentioned, we're recording the event. So if you have to drop off early, we'll be sending out the recorded event after probably tomorrow morning. So I think that's it for housekeeping items. So let's get started. So let me just kick things off here. If you haven't joined us before, we've had, this is a 6-part series. 6 effective ways to step up your insurance agency ownership game. This is the 5th in the series of 6, Perpetuation Strategy, with Kaylor here, who will be our presenter today. If you would flip to the next slide really quick. And we should be here for about 40 minutes, just so you know. So really quickly, for those of you who aren't familiar with Leavitt Group, we are one of the largest national insurance brokerage firms in the United States, number 14, last I heard. And we have over 170 locations. Actually, I think that number is higher as of today. I believe we're over 180. We are now in 27 states, so we've seen a lot of growth in the last year. And you can see also on the screen, in terms of consolidated revenue, sitting right about 312 million and over 3 billion in placed premiums. So growing. We're very excited for you to join us here today. You can see the map with all our little dots on there. And with that, I'm going to pass the mic here to Kaylor, and he's going to take us through perpetuation strategy today. Thanks, Kaylor.
Hi, everyone. Nice to be here today. My name is Kaylor Dowley. I'm a Senior Executive Vice President of Operations here at Leavitt Group. I'm a division leader with strategic and financial responsibility in Leavitt Group agencies. I oversee Leavitt Group's operations team, which is a group of business consultants who are charged to act on behalf of the corporate office, otherwise known as Leavitt Group Enterprises, or LGE, and to represent its ownership interests within Leavitt Group's insurance agencies. So thank you for joining me today on our discussion about perpetuation strategy. I'll do my best to make this discussion interactive, allowing the audience to participate in polling questions, providing reactions, as well as finding time at the end of, or during and in the end of the presentation for a Q&A session. So we'll be hosting live polls and Q&A. So everybody, please grab your cell phone. Now you can interact one of 2 ways. You can actually open up a different web browser, go to slido.com. When asked for in the event code, type in the word Leavitt, or the most simple way is to take your phone and scan the QR code like we've become familiar with during the pandemic.
I'm already on my fucking phone, asshole, because I refuse to put Zoom on my computer.
You may want to mute, my friend.
Can you unmute yourself? Yeah, sorry, I just had to mute all the lines.
Yep, I have unmuted
Apologies
myself.
for that.
Thank you. Let's start all over again here real quick. So one, you can go to Slido. You can ask people to open their browsers. We can navigate to slido.com. You can then ask you to hit the event code of Leavitt, or you can simply scan the QR code with your phone. And once you've joined the event, please note that you can also submit questions via the Q&A tab. You can submit questions anonymously or with your name. You can also upvote questions submitted by others. And so the highest upvoted questions will be shown first. My associate Heather will be monitoring the Q&A. So perpetuation is at the core of Leavitt Group's mission statement. Leavitt Group's mission is to build, serve, and perpetuate independent insurance agencies. Now, Leavitt Group has successfully transitioned the perpetuation with their member agencies for nearly 70 years. And today we will provide you with a simplified version of Leavitt Group's perpetuation strategy. Together, we'll examine the following 3 perpetuation components. 1, identification of need. 2, recruiting, both internal and external. And 3, implementation. So let's hear what some of our agents are saying about our process.
Joined the Leavitt Group. Part of the reason I joined the Leavitt Group was for a perpetuation.
Kaylor, the audio is a little bit low on that.
My successor. So I began trying to identify what's the type of individual I'm looking for that has my, philosophies, that will have the same culture that I believe in and these sort of things, that would continue on with how I run the agency and built the agency, and then be able to take it to that next level. I'd already determined, hey, what's my exit time that I would like? Because I want to go out with the way I want to go out. There was much more like hands-on time, one-on-one time with Jim, and going, here's the reason we're doing the things we're doing. Here's the way we think about things. Here's the path we're going forward. Being part of the inner circle, there were a lot of like closed door meetings that were way above my head that I got to sit in and listen in on and get to ask questions later, versus just showing up one day and going, yeah, here's your opportunity to buy a piece of an agency. By perpetuation, there's a number of ways you can go about doing this, right? I can sell to the Levitts have the right to buy me out. They don't have to buy me out. Well, what are my options? If they elect not to, well, we go out to the market, find a third party to buy us. They give you cash and you walk. Well, that's not necessarily what I was looking for. I worked with my father. He had a vision. I continued on. I took it to the next level, and now it's with the same culture that I developed from him. I want to continue on with these guys. So I identified early that an internal succession would be the best approach for me. And I think I picked the right people. Obviously, I'm a year into it at this point, and it's been working quite well. So I think that they learned a lot during those 6 to 10 years. So, we want to be family owned. We wanted here to be a family owned and operated company. You work for the Leavitt Group, Andrea, you know what that means. So his legacy was that the agency that his father started is going to move on here in town, and it's going to operate in a similar way with super high integrity.
So thank you, Jim and Chris, for sharing your thoughts. As Jim stated, it all begins with identification of a need. So let's kick off today's presentation with a quick poll. Again, grab your phone, and there'll be live polling. Let's gather your thoughts on when to put a perpetuation transition into place. How many years prior to perpetuation should the transition strategy be put into place? Less than a year, between 1 to 2 years, 2 to 5, 5 to 7, 7 to 10, or more than 10 years. As you can see, the answers are being upvoted. It looks like the majority of them are falling within the 5 to 7 years at this point in time. Now it's switched to just about 50-50, 2 to 5 to 5 to 7. So thank you. All right, let's just try a quick second poll here real quick. If you haven't put a perpetuation strategy into place, what's holding you back? I don't want to stop working. I'm concerned about perpetuating my cultural values. I can't simply afford to retire. Can't find a person to perpetuate. I have a person, but fear they can't fund my buyout. And I haven't thought about it, or maybe other. So by far, I can't find a person to perpetuate is clearly an obstacle, even though per the last slide was indicating you need to begin that perpetuation process somewhere between the 2 and 5 year period. So here at Leavitt Group, our goal is for all co-owners with fewer than 5 years until retirement to have a perpetuation plan in place. As you can see, there are several reasons why people haven't developed a perpetuation strategy. Planning for perpetuation, for one reason or the other, is probably the most neglected perpetuation step. Often business owners are fearful of facing the fact that their lives are soon to be changed by perpetuation in major ways. Regrettably, rather than proactively planning for those changes, they ignore them, hoping that somehow they'll just simply disappear. Now, age and retirement are sensitive issues, and perpetuations discussions should be directed with sensitivity and caution. They should not, however, be ignored. Here at Leavitt Group, we've built what we call the Perpetuation Profile Builder. We focused on making the process as simple and straightforward as possible. To create this profile, the Leavitt Group co-owner, working with their corporate business consultant, identifies needs within the following 3 areas. 1, we seek to identify of the owner's key skills and traits needed, key relationships, and certifications that are necessary to maintain agency operations. The agency's leadership team then rates the importance of each item on the worksheet on a scale of 1 to 5. A ranking of 1 highlights the skill, et cetera, to be important but not necessary, while a score of 5 reflects extreme importance. A job description is then built to reflect the key components within the perpetuation profile, which can be used for internal development or external recruiting. Now let's take a few moments to answer any questions from the chat.
I don't see any in the chat right now, Kaylor.
No problem.
And none through Slido either. So you're
Thank
good to
you.
move on.
Now, Leavitt Group really puts an emphasis on cultural attributes when seeking to build out a perpetuation profile. There are 7 governing principles that we consider core in all of our relationships. 1, be honest and operate with integrity. 2, serve stakeholders. 3, align interests. 4, grow profitably. 5, adapt. 6, enjoy. And 7, communicate with reason and civility. These principles are always taken into consideration when working with our partners, service team members, producers, and industry relationships. Whether these principles are recorded directly within the key attributes of the perpetuation profile, they are always kept in mind throughout the affiliation, personnel advancement, or the recruiting process. Now, whether you're fortunate to have previously hired a person or persons capable of perpetuating your ownership, or if you don't have a candidate in place, you may be asking yourself, how do I get the recruiting process going? Get your phones ready. Here comes our last poll. Let's get a quick pulse of the room to see where everyone's at with their perpetuation recruiting. What statement best identifies your current perpetuation candidate pool? I have no candidates in the pipeline. I have some internal candidates. I have an external candidate, both internal and external. I'm holding active perpetuation discussions, or boom, my perpetuation is locked up. I have no candidates in the profile, and I have internal candidates in the profile, are often the two most commonly positions or statuses that we see within agencies. So for purposes of this section, let's focus on external recruiting. Recruiting can be difficult for a myriad of reasons. Every agency would love to find a match to a perfect profile, such as, wow, an experienced producer within the industry. They understand pretty much everything the industry can throw at them. Someone who can sell anything to anyone at any time, an age bank of mid to late 30s. Somebody that's willing to sacrifice for the long-term value appreciation of stock ownership. A perfect relationship manager, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's easy to fall into the trap of hunting unicorns, right? And it's for this reason we took the time to build out a perpetuation profile, so we can recruit for the true needs of the agency. Now, using these key traits from the perpetuation profile, your next step is to create a candidate scorecard. It allows you to assess a candidate's profile match to your required leadership profile traits. My suggestion is to keep the scorecard simple and rank candidates on 3 scales: a perfect match, somewhat a match, or no match. If anybody would like to ask a question, feel free to go ahead. I don't see anything in the polls right now, so I'm going to move forward. Now, for those that don't have a person identified for perpetuation, obviously you'll need to find that solution. And through experience, Leavitt Group has identified a multi-pronged approach to finding perpetuation candidates. Now, we work with the local agency owner, but here are a few approaches to consider. 1, industry networking events. You need to become familiar with with faces at your local Big I, insurance carrier conferences, et cetera. Look at both agency and carrier candidate opportunities. Business commerce memberships. Are you a member of the Chambers, the Lions Club, the Rotary Club, or other networking clubs? Attend those events and learn who's in your community. Your perpetuation may not be currently employed in the insurance industry, but they do exhibit several key traits per your perpetuation profile. Recruiting. Leavitt Group has a highly experienced recruiting department where people scour referrals, LinkedIn profiles, et cetera, to find the perfect match for your agency. If you don't have immediate access to an internal recruiter, I would suggest that you seek to align yourself with a third-party recruiter. And our last step is Leavitt Group. In addition to our recruiting department, we can scan our entire agency network to provide perpetuation solutions for individuals that may not have the opportunity at their existing agency for various reasons. The perfect candidate may not live in your state, but is willing to relocate. We can also examine if a merger with another regional agency would make business sense. Let's talk a little bit about implementation. As stated earlier, finding your perpetuator is likely the largest difficulty in the entire perpetuation planning process. But once you have candidates in place, you will need to enact your plan by taking 4 final steps. Let's talk about step 1, open communication. As applicable, hold perpetuation meeting with candidates and or staff to discuss your perpetuation plan and establish the rules of qualification, interview process, etc. While timing can definitely be sensitive, being open and preparing your staff for change is an important step to ensure a smooth transition. Step 2 are interviews. using your perpetuation profile as your guide to assess ability, character, and alignment of the agency's cultural interests. Ask the candidates to complete a personality profile to expand your assessment. This can provide additional insight for you about the candidate's emotional intelligence, work ethic, coachability, etc. There are several great third-party personality profiles out there. Step 3, financial. You need to develop an agency valuation. You need to develop a stock purchase strategy that contains the effective date, the down payment, payment options, interest rate, duration, sweat equity, etc. Discuss with the candidates their financial ability to finance the buyout. And step 4, finalize. Complete interviews and select your candidates. Document your perpetuation plan and create necessary legal documents for implementation. Now, this is not an all-inclusive list. It's been highly summarized for purposes of this presentation. But overall, I think it gives you enough information to steer you in the right direction. So let's take a few moments to review the chat box for questions and then open it up overall.
Taylor, I do not see any questions in the chat right now, but just as a reminder, you can send a message privately to me, so it can be anonymous, or you can send it to everyone, or you can also unmute your line if you'd like to ask a question live.
No problem.
Oh, there's one.
Who inside Leavitt Group could guide us? Fantastic timing. Let's quickly talk about some upcoming webinars, and then I'll share with you some contact information. So with the upcoming webinars, this is a multi-part series here. We are on the perpetuation strategy. So there's at least one more upcoming webinar, but they can also be accessed online to view past webinars. So you can email us at hudson-duncan@aipglobal.com. Visit us online at leavitt.com/affiliation, or follow us on LinkedIn. Just simply search for Leavitt Group.
And Kaylor, if I might add quickly, we have just a kind of a preview announcement for all of you. We have a brand new affiliation website that's about to launch here in the next few days. There's going to be lots of great content out there that wasn't before, some on perpetuation. So that'll be a great tie-in to this webinar, including the recorded event. So definitely keep your eyes open for that, as we'll be sending out some announcements on that over the coming few days.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, everybody. If there are no more questions, we'll end the seminar at this time. I appreciate the opportunity to be able to speak to you today about perpetuation strategy. And please feel free to contact us at the Leavitt Group. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Kaylor. All right, everybody. As I mentioned, we'll have the recorded event out to you all tomorrow. So if you've registered for today's event, you'll get the email with the recorded version. We'll have the long form one, and then probably in a couple of weeks, we'll have a shorter version as well. If you need just a quick refresher, you can also go to our events page on the affiliation website to listen, like Kaylor said, to listen to any of our past recordings. And then final reminder, agency valuation next week is our last in the series. So if you're not registered and would like to, definitely get out there to that events page on our affiliation site and get registered. Look for links shared out to our LinkedIn page here in the coming days as well. If you have any questions, y'all have my contact info. Feel free to reach out anytime. And that concludes our webinar for the day. So thanks,
Thank
Kaylor.
you.
Appreciate it. Thank you, everyone
Bye-bye.
who joined.